Hi, I'm Claudia Brown-Coulter with Pivotal Peace. I am your go-to mediator for navigating divorce while parenting children with special needs. I am also a legal document assistant, LDA, based in the greater Los Angeles area. Let's talk about mediation, and let me give you some real-life examples of some things that have happened. Now, people are afraid of mediation, some for valid reasons and some not. One of the reasons people are afraid of mediation is because they think that the mediator is going to coerce them into a decision, that the mediator is like a judge. That's arbitration, not mediation. The mediator can make no decisions for you. They can make proposals, and they probably shouldn't make proposals for you right out the gate, especially in a divorce. This is not some commercial mediation or employment dispute. There are so much more emotions wrapped up in a divorce than any other conflict and division that I have seen. So a lot of times, a lot of the mediation is about getting some of those emotions out. So please don't think that the mediator is going to coerce you. Please don't think that this is going to be like a trial, that you're going to be questioned. No. Mediation is facilitated negotiations. When you and your spouse are sitting at the kitchen table trying to settle your divorce, you're negotiating. When you come to mediation, you're just not at the kitchen table anymore. You're still negotiating, and you've got a person in the middle to help you fight fair, to help you see and hear things and serve like a translator between the two of you so that you can focus on your mutual goal of dissolving the marriage. So when you get to the other thing about mediation, I'm getting ahead of myself. The other thing about family mediation, divorce in particular, that is different than other types of mediation is that it doesn't happen in one session. I remember when I started the training, all of the training that you receive in mediation school, that's not what it's called, by the way, but in mediation school, all of the training you receive is you don't let them leave. Don't let them leave because they might go and change their mind. Don't let them walk out that door until they sign that paperwork. I kid you not. 12 and a half hours. It was a commercial divorce. It was a restaurant, and the partnership was dissolving. And it was 12 and a half hours. My feet hurt. Can you imagine divorcing your spouse and being in conversations with them for 12 and a half hours? No. There are too many emotions involved. These business partners were not married to one another. They were business partners. Yeah, there was some bad blood, but there wasn't a marriage there. So, family mediation is not one and done. This is not, someone said to me, can we do like a half day, like go 4 or 5 hours and just knock it out? No, no. I'm not going to sit here for 4 to 5 hours and deal with all of that drama. It's hard on me too because y'all got a lot of emotions coming in here. No. Go find somebody else. No, you can't pay me. Well, that's not true. You might be able to pay me enough money to do that. I'll reconsider. You can make me another offer. But in general, my answer is no. So your very first mediation session, it should happen even before then, but in your very first mediation session, if you haven't been told this stuff before, if you have, you'll be reminded. If you haven't, then you'll hear it for the first time that this is a confidential session. No one should be listening to you. You should be in a private place. There is no recording. You're not recording on your phone. No one's recording. There should be no one on the other side of the screen. Completely private. If somebody else is in the house, that's fine. Close the door so nobody can hear you. This is private. This is confidential. And the other thing is the mediator should remind you and let you know this is how this is going to go. Person A, whoever's going to start, is going to make a proposal. And person B is going to say yes, no, or ask a clarifying question. What are you, an idiot? Or what were you thinking? Those are not clarifying questions. Tell me your thought process behind your proposal. That is a clarifying question. Now, if they say no, then spouse B, their job is then to make a counter proposal to spouse A. And it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until we reach an agreement. And someone chuckled the last time I told them this. Honey, that's because you haven't used a mediator. You haven't had somebody in the middle. And the other thing is, you maybe have tried this on your own. Time is really important too, and you need an outside perspective to help you guys stay focused, be on your best behavior, and get the deal done. So, and the other thing, it's not uncommon to go back and forth and not reach a deal in one session. Sometimes we have to stop on that issue and go to another issue so we can have a more productive conversation. We can jump around from issue to issue. There's lots of issues in divorce. We will not be short of things to talk about. So you can volley that issue back and forth for a while, and if the ball gets dropped, we can pick it up in the next session. That's completely fine. So the mediator will help you set that agenda. It's your divorce. You should decide what you want to talk about first. If you and your spouse can agree on what is the most pressing issue, what is the thing that is keeping you up at night, or what's the most easiest win we can get right now to build goodwill, the mediator will help you pick a topic. They will help you pick a topic. When you are mediating, if you tend to sigh and give a side eye, you should mute yourself when you're not talking. If you're prone to interruption, you should mute yourself when you're not talking. I did have only one person has done this. It was smart. She could not control her face. She could not fix her face. So anytime her husband spoke, she turned her camera off. You got to do what you got to do to get the deal. And then when it was her time to speak, she would turn her camera back on, unmute herself, and speak. It's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. The mediator's not judging you. They're not expecting you to be perfect. And I thought that was a great method of self-control. The other thing when you're in this session is, so you got to stop interrupting and you got to stop the negative comments. You have to. I will be a referee. Sometimes I let it go on for a little bit and see if you can get yourself under control. Otherwise, I got to step in. I don't like stepping in, but I will step in. I will step in. You're not helping by doing that. You're getting your little pot shots in. You're pointing her across. For who? For me? I don't make any decisions for you. You're wasting your time when you do that. Don't do that. Let them talk. Let them finish. Take your little notes, and then you get a chance to talk. You will get a chance to talk and make a counter proposal and refute all the things that they've said. And if you want to, it's not really necessary because I don't care. And it's not that I don't care about you, but your dispute does not impact my life in that way. So however many partners you have or had, what you've done or not done, how difficult or not difficult you are, how good you are with your finances or not. I just want to make sure that you are of a sound mind and that you feel safe and are able to negotiate and you are not coerced into an agreement. So the pot shots don't help you. They slow you down. All right, I want to tell you about cases of mine. I had a couple who spent 8 sessions with me. They were wonderful people. It was so fun being with them. They were great. But 6 out of the 8 sessions were spent about their children because they really wanted to have a clear parenting plan. And it was a lot of, you work too much, so the children should be with me more. You work too much. And it was, no, we should have 50-50 custody. I'm not doing anything wrong by working. These are still our children. And when I'm home from work, yeah, you stopped working, but care for the children, but when I'm home from work, all I do is care for the children. So I go to work all day and then I come home and I care for the children all weekend while you're out doing your other stuff. Well, fine. I want a week on, a week off. This is where I stepped in and was like, that's a long time for children of this age to be without their other parent. Ooh, I got an email later. That spouse was so mad at me. You were taking their side. Okay, if I'm taking anybody's side, I'm taking the side of the child, going, you really think that these children should be away from their other parent for an entire week? And they're babies, they're not even in school yet? An entire week? Okay. I see, sometimes mediators make proposals and clients don't like them. Okay, look, it's your life, it's your kids. You want to do that. Whatever they agree to. So they went back and forth. Every little issue back and forth. They ended up with a 50-50 parenting plan. They did not go a whole week without the children seeing their other parent because they're far too little for that. I mean, I might not be a child psychologist, but I did spend 21 years in elementary education. Maybe I know a little something more than you. Just saying. Anyway, they reached an agreement. What happened, though, is they kept talking. And if they couldn't talk face-to-face, they had a joint document that they were editing together. So they could be in different locations and they could make proposals on that document. They kept talking. They kept coming back to mediation. It was not pleasant. It was not friendly for some of those moments. But they kept at it. And because their children were so important to them, they kept the conversation going. Because the children and the children's welfare was far more important than getting their way in court. So once again, taking the time and having those conversations is so key. It was great that they could continue to have those conversations away from mediation because there will be more and more conversations about those children and about any disagreements until those children are grown and out of the house. This is why it's important for them to keep talking. All right, so some little wrapping this up, there are some common misconceptions. I did have somebody say to me, okay, I want to come to mediation, but I want to have everything settled first and then we'll mediate. And what? That don't make no sense. And I ain't going to tell you how that one went. It didn't make any sense. You don't have to solve everything before you come to mediation. What's the point of mediation? The other thing is, we have to get along and seem kumbaya and still love each other. I definitely not fantasizing their funeral, right? We have to still have happy feelings about one another in order to mediate. No, you don't. You know what you got to do? You need to be committed to staying out of court. You also need to act like an adult, although I have had people, it doesn't happen often, but I have had sessions end with F you, not me, their spouse, and they just log off. Or it's at our time and they're yelling and this is why and you had an affair and do it. It is like a telenovela. Do you know those people often come back, not the next day, not the next week, it might take a little bit of time. They come back and they settle. They come back and they settle. It is not all happy, perfect feelings. It isn't. It's also not all fighting all the time either. This is a series of conversations to help you reach an agreement. It's not going to be perfect all of the time, but if you can both be committed to staying out of court, if, maybe your feelings get hurt in mediation, but not so much that you're like, I'm going to punish you and I'm going to court, or I just refuse to negotiate, then you're going to make it. You're going to get through. Mediation is not that awful. Those situations where they're screaming and yelling, Those are so, so, so rare. I've done a lot of mediations. I can count those on one hand. They are very, very rare. You can mediate as long as you feel safe, as long as both of you have agreed to mediate and stay out of court, and as long as you feel like, hey, I have the intellectual power, I don't feel overburdened, I don't feel like somebody has power over me. I can understand this. If I don't, I can bring someone with me to mediation to help me understand these complex issues, or I can consult with someone on the outside between sessions to help me with these issues. Then you can mediate. You can mediate. The number one thing is you're committed to staying out of court. It is beneficial for you, and it's beneficial for your estate. It's beneficial for your children. And you're going to be so glad you did it. It's not hard. You guys can do it. Have a great week.